Welcome to Rerouted, where we tell the stories of people with unique and windy paths to help give you the tools you need to create a fulfilling career. Today's guest is Dan Drogosh. After graduation, Dan started his career at a nonprofit focused on elevating young entrepreneurs, then worked at the Vanderbilt University Center for Innovation and Design as Social Innovation Program Coordinator, and now serves as the Director of Enterprise Growth and Partnerships at HealthBreak Incorporated. Throughout our conversation, Dan and I talk about being a Swiss Army knife throughout his career, using his music career to connect professionally, working with entrepreneurs and with social innovation, and how he has grown his professional network by being his most authentic self and giving to others. Thank you so much for joining me today. How are you doing?
Good, man. Thanks for having me, Nick.
Yeah, of course, of course. You want to just hop right into it?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So first off, let's start. What did you go to school for?
So, um, that changed as school went on, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, entered into freshman year at Michigan State University as a science major. Um,
Okay.
Science was a big part of my upbringing, our household. My dad was a food scientist, and so I think as you graduate high school, you want to make dad proud, want to make the parents proud, and so signed up for a science major. And let me tell you, chemistry 101 kicked my butt. And so
Been there.
yeah, and so I think I don't know, it was one of those moments where I'm like, am I about to struggle through this classwork for the next 4 years and just hate college?
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of thought about it, and I was like, nope, I'm gonna find something that I enjoy and that I'm like naturally good at. And so tried economics, and that wasn't it. And then eventually landed in advertising. Um, and I think after talking to all the advisors on campus, they're like, yeah, this might be a good fit. You're a people person. You get people. It's got some psychology built into it. It's got all the media stuff that you're telling us we like or you like, and so gave that a shot, man, and it was smooth sailing since then. So advertising, it was.
Very nice. Okay. So, how did early educational and internship experiences influence what you wanted your career to look like?
Yeah, I mean, I think on that side, I'll have to give another toss out to my parents. My dad specifically was just really good about exposing me to a lot of things. He'd bring me to his work. I knew my mom was a teacher, so I'd always go to her classroom after school. And so getting to see these different environments, getting used to a professional world, um, I think made me really prepared to take on any internship. And I think I applied to a bunch of like really cool ones that were unpaid. In like the music industry, you could sign up to be backstage at a like promotional business. But I think the one that really landed for me was I snagged an internship for Quicken Loans in downtown Detroit, my junior year of college, leading into senior year that summer. And man, was it just formative. The role that I had for the internship wasn't exactly exciting. But
Of
what I'll tell you,
course.
what was cool is that company, Quicken Loans, at the time, I believe this was 2012, summer 2012. And Quicken Loans was just on a tear to just help revitalize downtown Detroit. Wasn't, the city had some bad raps, and downtown Detroit was still kind of rough from a lot of outside perspectives. And even so, my parents were hesitant about me like moving downtown, living downtown, working this
Sure.
internship. But that internship did one thing. It taught me to explore the area around you. And the leader at the time, or the president, Dan Gilbert, had a great way of saying, "Hey, I could care less what you accomplish for me during your time here as an intern for Quicken Loans, but do one thing for me." He's like, "See Detroit for what it is. Get out of the office, go explore, move downtown, live downtown, get involved." And so I did that. I like thankfully had a roommate that was also a Michigan State dude, and dude, we just really had a good time seeing Detroit for what it had to offer. And it was not the city that people were saying was horrible and crime ridden. There was
Hmm.
like this cool underground arts community happening, tech scene, entrepreneurship. It was all of that just waiting to be, seen by us interns that knew nothing. And so that really kind of opened me to this world of small business and startups and people just taking pride in where they were living, where they were working, where they were raising families. And so there's a lot of neat people we got to meet in my time downtown Detroit. So that internship alone kind of set me down this path of what we're about to talk about next.
Awesome. That sounds awesome. All right, great. So your first job out of college was with The Co. So tell me about how you found that company. What do they do, and about a little bit about what you did there.
Yeah, so that's a fun story. I love telling this.
Awesome.
You graduate from college, and I think a lot of students can agree with me on this. Looking back, is you're kind of narrow-minded a
Mm,
bit in terms of what you think you should be striving for, right? You had your major, you studied these classes that were super focused, and then you get in the real world and maybe you got lucky like some of my peers and had a job lined up right out of college. Or maybe you ended up like me where you graduate and then on a whim move to a new state with another buddy and you know no one. And then you also start to realize like, okay, this city I moved to doesn't have many opportunities in the lane that I was just focusing on. In this case, it was advertising, right? And so
hmm
there might have been three advertising agencies in the entire town that I moved to, and yes, it was small. And then on top of that, they weren't hiring. And so it kind of put me in the jump seat of like, okay, I got to think a little more broadly here. And at that time, I was feeling the pressure. I was like, oh man, what have I done? Was this a mistake? And
hmm
it basically came down to me hanging out in Starbucks, kind of just being a fly on the wall, listening to people's conversations that were happening around me and politely butting in, be like, "I'm so sorry. I'm brand new to town, just graduated. I heard you say this. Can you tell me more?" And
mm,
had some great conversations. Um, people people were so friendly to a newcomer to their community, and they would say, "Oh yeah, you got to meet with my, so and so. I know a guy that's doing this." And and I was taking any opportunity. I really wasn't trying to pigeonhole myself to any one lane. It's not like I was saying, "Hey, do you have an advertising agency I can work for?"
yeah.
So
hmm
no, I was just willing to meet anyone and everyone at that time. And after about probably three or four different coffee chats with people, I finally landed on a guy who's like, I just became like a co-founder of this entrepreneur center that's getting started up. He's like, it's literally me and my buddies who were all other business owners in this community at the time in Jackson, Tennessee. And they were like, you should go check out this place and see what you think. And what they didn't tell me is they actually didn't quite own this entrepreneur center yet. It was being managed by someone else at the time who,
hmm
long story short, she was on the outs. They were trying to come in and take over, but that was months in the making. So, anyways, I went and talked to this woman who was running it at the time, and she's like, "Yeah, I could use your help, but I can't pay you."
mm,
And this was, after about maybe 4 months of living in Jackson, Tennessee, not having a job, living off savings from my job during college. And I'm like, you know what? I'm tired of waking up every day with nothing to do. I'm just gonna show up, work for free until something else happens, till I meet someone else, till some other opportunity comes my way. And I was
hmm
literally, it wasn't much of a responsibility, but I was present. I showed up. I was making PowerPoints for this little entrepreneur center, and then the transition came through, and these guys took over like they said they were gonna. And I'm like, all right, great. This is the chance where they get to boot me. I'm gonna get fired
mm.
from a job I'm not even getting paid for.
Uh-huh.
Is what I was thinking.
hmm
Doom case here. But no, they were watching from afar. They really appreciated my dedication to the little startup that it was, and they're like, Dan, here's the plan moving forward. We're getting a whole new building. We got a bunch of more funding. They were like, do you wanna work with us? And I'm like, I would love to, but can you pay me? And they're like, yeah, we think we can pay you. And that began the start of this amazing 8-year long journey of working for the Co and helping build this amazing entrepreneur center in West Tennessee.
Yeah. It's awesome. What were, once you got paid, what were some of the responsibilities that you had as you were working? And I imagine that they changed a lot over 8 years, but whether being one of the only people that was involved with that,
Yep.
what did those responsibilities look like?
Yeah, so being employee number one for a startup is strange. These guys, like I said, they were kind of overseeing the funding operations and all of everything else that kind of needed to be taken care of from the state level. And in terms of it's a nonprofit, and so it was getting grant
Mm,
money and all that stuff. And so they're like, Dan, um, what do you like to do? Like, what are you good at? And
hmm.
that question being told to a college student who just graduated is is one part awesome, one part scary because I'm like, quite honestly, I don't know what I am good at yet. I
Yeah.
just left school. This environment where it's like all you've been told is do your homework, turn in your assignments, and go to class. And it's like, man, I don't know what I'm good at. And I just kind of said, well, I love technology. I like videos. I like media. I like talking to people. They're like, great, we got you. And then so then what they did is they basically made this role for me and then hired some other people to do the things I didn't like doing, which was like a blessing. It really was. So my role was like operations manager for this um, entrepreneur center, co-working space, whatever you want to call it at that time. So I was greeting people. I was setting up the 3D printers and all the technology we had in this cool little tech center. I was traveling across West Tennessee trying to spread the good word about this place just opening up. So if there's one thing you knew about West Tennessee at the time, um, they were a little behind the times. And
Mm,
a center like this happening to small southern communities was a little bit of a shell shock. They're like, you guys do what again? And so I had
mm,
to kind of really get them bought into this vision of like, hey, let's get these communities in the 21st century. And there's young professionals that are hidden at home with no space to join and convene and to collaborate and to co-work together to create the next new cool business in these small communities. And so that's what that place was, and that's what we were building it to be. And but you're right, yeah, I wore many hats. I mean, dude, I was fixing the toilets for this place. I was fixing lights. I
hmm.
I was greeting people. I was shopping at Sam's Club for like coffee and stuff. I was doing everything because we didn't have anyone else to do it.
Yeah.
And I think that really kind of goes back to what I think a lot of my roles have kind of came to me for is because of my attitude of like, you know what, I'm down to help do anything as long as it's a fun environment.
Yeah. All right.
So,
So, how did doing everything and wearing all those different hats change your perception about what you can do and what'd you learn?
yeah, I think that's kind of the cool part is when you're given the freedom and the autonomy to learn what interests you, you can surprise yourself. Like looking back at the 8 years when I was leaving that place, I was like, dang, I did this for myself, right? Uh, Very rarely was the guys that hired me being like, hey, you know, we need you to do this, even though you don't like to do that. It was more of like I saw opportunities for improvement just by being present in the space I was in. If members were saying, "Hey, Dan, like we'd like to have this in this space," I'd figure out how to make that feasible and present it and be like, "Guys, here's what I'm hearing. Is this doable? Can we make this happen? I could make half of this to save money and maybe we can do the other part." So I was kind of a little bit of a problem solver, or so I found out about myself, right? I really didn't know myself your first few years out of college, you're like, what the heck am I good at? And so, um, with just being a people person, listening to people, what did they want out of the space? What did they want out of their business startups that they were working on in our space? Just trying to be as helpful as I could. Um, that's that's what I think surprised me is you learn so many skill sets that can blend together that had I just stuck with advertising and just found like an advertising agency, man, I wouldn't be the Swiss Army knife that I am today.
Hmm.
I think, yeah, you'd just be kind of pigeonholed to one lane, and yeah, I'd be great at it, but I think I take pride in being versatile.
That's great. All right. So throughout this time period that you're working at the Co, you're also making, managing, and performing your own music. How has this influenced your career and also your personal life in general too?
Yeah, I smile because those days I swear I was living two different lives.
Uh-huh.
Um, the only reason I ended up in Tennessee was to do music. The
Sure.
buddy I moved down with grew up in high school. We played in bands together in college, and he took a job down in this city too. And he was the one kind of who convinced me. He was like, "Hey, move down here. Um, I've got a job lined up, but I'm sure you'll find one, Dan." And he's like, "We got to give this music thing a shot," and that's what we did. And so, on the weekends when I wasn't working for the nonprofit entrepreneur center, we were holding band practice. We were going to all the bars in town, passing out flyers. We were hosting our own open mic nights just to get our names out there as this rock group we wanted to become. We eventually found, two amazing guys that are still, our best buds today to be in the band. And then, um, really back to your question is like, how did the music stuff help my career? It was amazing. It gave me something to talk about with people that wasn't the kind of the status quo,
Sure.
coffee shop talk, and I think what was cool is it made me more of an interesting person because of that. And we kind of adopted this mantra of people love to be invited to things.
Hmm.
And because we were new to that town, we kind of felt that. It's like it's nice to be invited to things, even if you end up saying no, but it gave us a reason to network and to meet so many more people because we could be like, hey, we're you're meeting me now, but this weekend, I'd love to invite you to our show, our concert. It's gonna be a great time. You're gonna love the music. We got a bunch of other friends we'd love to introduce you to too. And so, God, dude, we met so many people because of that extracurricular activity that we were so passionate about. Um, so yeah, I mean, it just doubled my ability to network and to be even more present in the community that we were in.
Yeah. So can I take this as official advice that the best way to network, according to you, is to have your own music career and invite people to concerts?
Yeah, well,
Okay.
have your own music career, but don't be in your bedroom. You got to be out playing the shows, like getting in
Sure.
front of people, right? I know nowadays you can easily, catch a lucky break from your bedroom and never have to play a show. But we weren't about that. We really enjoyed the live performance part of it, and yeah, because of that, we just met so many people.
That's really nice. Neat. All right. So you're working at the nonprofit group, but you're also doing a lot of other volunteering stuff on the side, just throughout your career
Yeah.
volunteering. So I want to know, how does volunteering in your community play a part in your life?
So I'll be honest, the volunteering opportunities came my way kind of via secondary sources. And so I think I was fortunate to be a part of some really cool programs that put me in the place to volunteer with maximum impact. And so the one program I'm thinking of was called oh gosh, Jackson Young Professionals. And it was this community-led or program where professionals from Jackson, Tennessee, all different walks of professional career paths came together every Wednesday for I think like 13 weeks or so, like the whole day. And we learned about the
Oh,
city. We learned what made the city run, the really important services, utility companies, everything that makes a city function. And if one of those parts breaks down, then you've got issues. But it gave us an appreciation for the folks next to us, right? And the
yeah.
big phrase that came out of this was use your resources, and resources are people. And so the part of this program was we were broken up into teams, and we had together find a good cause to volunteer towards. And one of them happened to be a cool foster care closet that was storing clothes for foster care parents who last minute found out they're getting a new kid to their family for
Mm,
a while or for a short term. And there was already this closet in town, but it could use a renovation. So we really liked that cause and just spent a few weekends building them out a new closet. Um, there was also another time where I was on this advisory board for a local bank. And at the time, I didn't know much about banking, but I really appreciated the innovative approach this bank took for their community. And so I was invited to be on this advisory board. And it's not what you think. I think at the time when you hear advisory board, it's like, oh man, that's a hot shot like position. It really wasn't. This was their amazing attempt at trying to listen to the community and create more opportunities for them to get feedback on their own products, on their own
Hmm,
service, how their bank was viewed in town. And so they sent us little advisory board members out into the community to just educate people on what it is they were doing, all the new cool stuff they were doing, and then we would report back like, "Hey, here's what we're hearing. Here's what people are getting frustrated with." And so that was a cool position because I didn't need to be smart about banking. I could just lend myself my time to help a local business. In this case, it was it was a bank. So really cool opportunities like that are out there that don't exactly need you to be an expert in something.
sure.
Yeah.
How did you find yourself on the board? Specifically, I know you say you were invited, but I want to know the step by step, the nitty gritty.
I mean, I like to say that the position I had for the co was very visible. I mean, I was meeting
Hmm.
all walks of life, and there were a few people that worked at the bank that I think our paths just crossed from going to Chamber of Commerce events, right? Chamber of Commerce, every city has, and they are always putting on events. So if anyone's listening to this and doesn't know where to start, I would literally start with your Chamber of Commerce
Hmm.
in your community. They typically have events at night that are just like little networking mixers. Go to
Hmm.
those because you'll see a great mix of the good old boy folks that have been in that community for years. They know everyone, and then you got your young professionals that are probably in the same boat as you. And if you can just, yeah, like talk to them, get to know them, then doors will open up. I mean, so one of these folks would often go to these Chamber of Commerce little networking mixers, and I think they also just knew my role at the co. And they're like, Dan, you know so many people. You'd be such a great advocate for us. And would you join this board? We pay you. That was cool.
Very
Paid
nice.
us for our time, which is even better. So that's kind of how that opportunity came out. As I was very visible in the community and seemed like I would be a good advocate or liaison for their brand.
Yeah. That's very interesting.
Yeah,
I had no idea that chambers of commerce tended to do that. That's
they're
very good.
they might be seen as old school nowadays, but I do think there's so much value in getting to know the folks that work at the chambers in your town.
Sure. All right.
Yeah.
So, so speaking about your highly visible role at the becoming a part of of the board for this credit for this bank, uh, this is kind of a loaded question. I acknowledge that, but do you view yourself as a community leader? And how have you been involved with your community to have this level of influence that you've had?
I'll be honest. I think Jackson, Tennessee was I was benefiting from big fish, small pond, right?
Mm,
A smaller town, you have more touch points with people. You're bumping into folks that you've met before more often, and so I
mm,
think those tiny little collisions really, really end up benefiting you in terms of you get to know the movers and shakers of that community a whole lot faster than in a
yeah.
bigger market like Nashville or a bigger metropolitan city. And so I acknowledge that, but I also took advantage of that, right?
Hmm.
Um, it only took me 10 minutes to cross town. And so instead of a Zoom call, I'm like, dude, I will meet you in your office. Let's
Hmm.
meet. I will meet you here. Because it just didn't take that much time out of my day to make that extra effort to meet in person. Um, and so, yeah, I think I benefited a lot from that. And do I see myself as a community leader? Sure. I mean, I lent my time a lot to people during my years in Jackson, Tennessee. I supported a lot of local events. Like I went to things, and I think showing up is one form of leading, right?
Yeah.
Are you present? Doesn't mean you got to donate a bunch of money, but it's like, are you supporting the other people around you? Is kind of how I took it, and thankfully too, the job I had was supportive of that, and too. So if there was some time during the day that there was a cool event happening, we were encouraged to go support that because we were in the business of supporting entrepreneurs. Like,
Yeah.
how could we be in that industry but not eat our own dog food and do the things that these people need to feel supported and be supported. And so
Yeah,
that's what we did. And so my time in Jackson, yeah, I think I was a community leader, at least to the best of my ability.
of course. Yeah. All right. Very nice. So after the co, you start working at Vanderbilt. Could you describe a little bit what your position at Vanderbilt looked like when you started working, and then how did you go from the co to Vanderbilt and why?
Yeah. Yeah. So, Vanderbilt University has this amazing innovation center called the Wondry. And having been at this nonprofit entrepreneur development center, um, small business innovation, I when I saw the job description, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a perfect next step.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think I, like others, suffer from imposter syndrome. And so I would, at the time I was looking for what's next, I would read these job descriptions and just talk myself out of it.
Mm.
Even though everyone else who would be reading over my shoulder, like, of course, dude, you can do that. And I'm like, nah,
Yeah.
I was too much of a Swiss Army knife, not specialized enough for the job descriptions I was reading.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I really struggle with, and even today. But when I read the job description for the Wondry, this innovation center, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I can bring so much to this place. I just felt so confident applying for that role, and I didn't get it.
Mm.
The first time I
Okay.
applied, I didn't get the job, and so a little bummed at the time, but I kept looking, and it just never left my mind. I was just like, you know what, I'm going to apply again a year later.
Mm.
A year later, I applied again, and it worked. And so the job I got at this innovation center was for a role that was different to me. I didn't
Mm.
actually quite understand all that this position meant at the time. I just knew I wanted to be a part of this place,
Mm-hmm.
and it was called a social innovation program coordinator. And so social innovation is not a word that I was familiar with in how Vanderbilt viewed it. I had my own
Mm-hmm.
interpretation of it. In fact, that's kind of was part of my interview process was what is social innovation to you? And I kind of just told them like, hey, I think social innovation is doing good for the people around you. It's thinking of creative ideas for for people that maybe don't have the best means of getting other things accomplished. I don't know. It was really vague.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't know exactly what it meant. And I was close. Um, but the way like Vanderbilt viewed it and the way, the team I was being hired onto viewed it was just, yeah, it's like how can you innovate for communities facing extreme challenges? Um,
Mm.
and the world has so many opportunities to be innovated upon, and everything comes back down to people. And so, therefore, everything is kind of social innovation, if you think about it.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, an amazing time there, and yeah, it took a while to gain some confidence in being able to speak about social innovation the way I can now.
Sure. So what was the transition like going from working with a community-focused organization like the Co to then working at the university?
Yeah, great question, man. I could not have predicted how different, but alike that a community facing role is to a kind of campus facing role. Um,
Mm.
one, Vanderbilt or any college campus of that size is so compartmentalized. Like there's just so many different units and groups and schools and people, and it didn't it wasn't as inviting as Jackson, Tennessee felt to me at the time, right? I moved
Mm.
to Nashville. So it was a brand new city, brand new campus, brand new people. I knew no one. Once again, I found myself in this spot of knowing no one.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? Cool. I got this. I've done this before. And
Mm-hmm.
and so I think the biggest challenge was understanding the dynamics of how a university functions. And so my role at the time was to promote the programs that our team ran, um, get out on campus, meet students, try and convince them that, hey, there's this innovation center on campus. And it was at the also at the time a hidden gem. Not many students knew about it. And so I'd be met with like blank faces, like, what's the Wondery? And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
oh man, I gotta go back a few steps because I was going straight into social innovation, and they're like, whoa, what's
Yeah.
that?
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, finding myself in that similar position of having to really just listen and meet people where they were at before I could try and convince them that there's this whole new world. And so, yeah, we would host like meet and greets for students. I would go talk in front of classes. Uh, I would meet professors. I would go to other teams on campus just to learn what they do and who they interact with to be like, oh, there's some alignment there. Like
Sure.
the students you talk to are the ones that we need in our programs.
Hmm.
So like those sparks would happen that I'd be like, all right, here's the flyer for our next program. Can you please share it with your folks? So that's what I spent a lot of my time doing in that early on role. Um, it was difficult, but we got it.
Got it. Can you tell me a little bit more about what your role was specifically and what you did
Yeah,
in addition to
so
what you were just talking about?
yep. So like I said, program coordinator for social innovation. And
Hmm.
so we were tasked with hosting a few programs throughout the semester. One of them was systems thinking program, which that
Hmm.
systems thinking is like it's a mindset, it's a process, it's an approach to problem solving for really big, complex societal problems, like for like
Hmm.
homelessness, for instance. Why do we still have homelessness, issues in every city? Well, it's a really complex problem to understand and let alone create solutions for. And every single city, every single location is unique. It, homelessness in one city is not, this doesn't function the same way in others. And so a program on systems thinking, we were educating students how to approach big, wicked problems.
Yeah.
And it starts by understanding the system that this issue lives in, right? And how everything is interconnected. And then we had another program that talked about, oh gosh, now I'm drawing a blank. We had one on design thinking. And design thinking is another kind of innovation process. We're just really creating opportunities for students to take their ideas of wanting to make an impact in the world and kind of taking an arm to them, like, hey, we got you. But here's some
Hmm.
cool things. Here's some cool methodologies that you can learn and apply to your own, interests and passions. But at the same time,
Yeah.
make an improvement in the community locally here in Nashville or to organizations around the world. Um, so it was a really cool um, team that I was on, and there were other things happening at the center. Like it's not like the Wondery was just social innovation. There was straight up, more classical entrepreneurship. We had a maker space
Sure.
and 3D printers, and so. But getting to be in that environment, I was in my dream. You know, it was just amazing.
Great. What does it mean to you to be able to then, for the course of your career, working at the Wondery and then also at the Co before that, to be able to work in social innovation with entrepreneurs?
I think I felt extremely lucky because you I think that classic like phrase of like you are who you surround yourself with.
Sure.
Um it yeah, I mean every day I was forced feels harsh, but in a way, yeah. I mean I was in this place where people were coming to me and so therefore I had to interact with them, but in the best way possible around some of the smartest people I've ever met and the most intrinsically motivated people I've ever met. Um, Vanderbilt's got some really bright students, and then the people who work at Vanderbilt were amazing too. And so, uh, honestly, you talk about imposter syndrome coming back at you as you're like, oh man, I haven't written 4 books, I haven't got my doctorate, I haven't,
Hmm.
I don't even have 2 masters, and so this whole time you're just sitting there trying to keep up with the conversations that could very easily be going right over your head. But I think what I just chose to do was take an interest in these people's lives and try and be as helpful as I could. And because of that, you end up making some great connections, some great friendships, some great and you end up making an impact, which is, at the end of the day, people came to us because we are a resource center, and that was my job,
Mm,
is to help connect, help show there's a new way to do something, help maybe help them understand that they have the best intentions, but they might be accidentally causing harm to a community by wanting to help in the way they are. That was
sure.
part of it. And so, yeah, I mean, I think just being in an environment like that was so beneficial. I learned so much. Once again, just adding to my Swiss Army knife skill set.
Yeah. It comes back to just being helpful and being that
Yeah,
person who's able to do it all. Okay. That's great.
100%. 100%.
Yeah. All right. So I want to move to the next step in your journey here.
Yeah.
So right now you serve as the Director of Enterprise Growth at HealthBreak.
Yep.
So how did you go from Vanderbilt to your current role at HealthBreak and why?
You're gonna hate to hear it, but it comes back down to connections.
Of
Um,
course.
so when my time at Vanderbilt came to an end, hopped on LinkedIn and just made a post saying, "Hey, it's been a great few years here at Vanderbilt. Here's what I'm looking for next." And kind of just outlined some hot topics and interests of mine. I didn't want to get too specific again because I've learned my lesson. So I
Hmm.
said, hey, I'm interested in sales. I'm interested in innovation. I'm interested in product development. Just kind of three buckets on this post. Threw it out there, and of course, I was amazed at how many people interacted and wanted to help. And so that's just the beauty of really building a good network. And
Yeah.
sure enough, one of my connections from Jackson reached out and she's like, Dan, I saw your post and she's like, let's chat. And happened to be the new owner of HealthBreak. And so I never could have imagined, it happening that way. But boy, was I thankful. And so we talked and she's like, hey, here's what the business is about. Um, there's this role that's really never been at this business before. Once again, I'm finding
Hmm.
myself in this role, or it's like, okay, I get to like choose my own adventure in a way.
Yeah.
I swear it just keeps happening. Um, but she's like, here's kind of our goals with this. Like we got to make this company grow. We need more visibility on the outside. It could use some more innovation. And I'm like, this is music to my ears. She was saying all the right stuff. Um,
Yeah.
and the best part was I didn't have to leave Nashville, where I love and live right now. Um, and so yeah, it just worked out well. And she's like, "Hey, we we're kind of okay with the title of sales director, something like that." But she's like, at the end of the day, tweak it to make it work for you,
Hmm.
which is really nice. Which is really
Yeah.
nice because that's a good leader right there, who understands that it's a two-way street.
Hmm.
So with that, I'm holding myself to a high standard with that title. And so it's like, yeah, I really want to make things happen for this business. And so I landed a health break.
All right. You're talking about connections and how you've had these great connections and that's who's been helping you and kind of talking about a little bit how you've kind of established a reputation for yourself. How have you gone about kind of building your personal brand? Does it come back to just having these super highly visible roles or is that something like what are you doing in your daily life that people know you as this guy who's able to do
Yeah.
it all and able to lead teams and growth and
I
innovation like this?
The only way I know how to answer that question is to just kind of regurgitate things people have told me over the years.
Sure.
Uh, and one of them sticks to me is like he was observing me have a conversation with someone else. And he came up to me after it. He's like, Dan, he's like, every conversation you find yourself in, you listen so intently to
Mm.
that person. You give them so much time and space to explain themselves, to be themselves, and you genuinely have curiosity for what they're going to say next. Um,
Hmm.
And I thought about that, and I think he's right. It's like I find people fascinating. I never find myself meeting a stranger. It's just someone I haven't met yet. Um, that sounds cheesy, but it really is. Like I'm the person you take out for the night, and I'm talking to the table next to us. right?
Hmm.
I hear these things that I just can somehow find a decently funny way to like interject myself casually, and then
Hmm.
before we know it, we're chatting. Um, yeah, and I think I like communicating with others, and so back to your question is just like, how have I done this? Was it my public facing roles? Sure, I would say yeah, it's definitely helped, but I think a lot of times I create those opportunities for myself by
Sure.
being chatty, by taking
Yeah.
by taking an interest in other people's lives and by asking a lot of really good questions. I
Hmm.
I that's kind of how my communication style. It's like I don't if I'm in a conversation with someone new, I'm barely sharing about myself. I'm so locked in and like, tell me more. Oh, that's super cool. How did you do that? Like how did you kind of like what you're doing now. Um,
Hey, that's the goal.
Exactly. And so, yeah, I think just taking a genuine curiosity in someone else's life with nothing to gain from it, right?
Hmm.
Um, that has opened up a lot of doors and I think makes people tend to want to talk to me again or
Yeah.
reach out to me in the future when I need something. And also just being really willing to help in any way that I can. It will dramatically help anyone. Even if you're not an introvert, I get it. I'm coming across like a true extrovert right now, and I understand that. But I think even introverts can find good questions to ask people,
Yeah.
and it doesn't have to put them on a spotlight that they might be fearful of, or you know, ask the questions that they're interested in learning about those people. And so maybe it's not so socially draining where you have to fake being interested. It's like find the folks that you want to learn more about and talk to them.
Yeah.
So yeah,
All right. Very great. Uh, what do you think have been, going back to your role at HealthBreak,
yeah.
what do you think the skills that you've gained from your past positions, what do you, which are the skills that have been the most critical for your new role? And as you're growing it, because you've only been in this role for about like 3 months at this point, right?
Yep.
So as you're
Yep.
starting to grow into this role and start to gain your footing a little bit more and figure out a little bit more about what you're doing.
Yeah. Great question. I think the one thing I've been really highly cognizant of as I've been in this role is I'm coming into a company where people have worked there for 10 years, 15 years, and I'm the newbie. And so,
Hmm.
and there's also just a lot of changes happening to this business. And so I think everyone's, under a little bit of stress,
Hmm.
but I think at the end of the day, I always want to suggest improvements to things, right? Like I want to
Sure.
see this business improve. And so I'm constantly being like, hey, what if we did it like this? What if we did it like that? Here's how
Hmm.
we might do that. Be showing that I want to, make things more efficient. Like that's so
Yeah.
me. And if if my ideas get shot down, I don't take them personally. Like
Mm.
that's one thing you learn in innovation is it's not you. It's for you're trying to improve the collective, right?
Mm.
You can't have an ego in this. And that's the quickest way to make people not really like you or not like working with you. And so
Hmm.
I think really, and two, just put my head down and really working. Being
Yeah.
available is also another big key thing, right? I'm being flexible. This type of business where it's collaborative, there's lots of moving parts. If you're kind of early on, I think this is good to put into motion. It's like early on, be as flexible, be as open to change as you can, because it's going to happen. But if you're sitting here, maybe guarding your schedule, like, oh no, I have to do this, and it's like, can you flex it just a little bit? Like, because
Hmm.
that little give and take makes the work life just a little bit better when you're collaborating with new coworkers, and you just get off on a good foot. And
Yeah.
that's what you want when you're entering a new role, regardless of your position. It's like be as accommodating as you can right out the gate, and I think things will go so smoothly. Um, so yeah, those are the things I've been trying to live by. Also, I'm nerding out on my own time. That's a big one, right? And so there are so many things to learn about the industry that health breaks in or about the position and how to be better at that position that I'm crushing videos on YouTube for sales. I
Mhm.
am learning up on new platforms on how to get better leads. Like I'm doing that on my free time just because I'm like, you know
Yeah.
what? the better I can be at this, the more I can learn to love this, the better I'm going to be at it. Um,
Yeah.
and it kind of goes back to like my role at the Cove. They let me do things that I was interested in, and I'm interested in the stuff, and so therefore I'm spending time on my own time to learn about it. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
you just get better. You get better faster when you do that.
That's great. All right. My last question for you. What is
Last one.
one last question? Hey, I can keep asking you questions if you'd like. If you... I don't have anywhere to be.
Careful, I'm going to
Uh,
turn the questions on you.
well, I would prefer we don't do that. So before you do, I will ask you this question. What
Yeah.
is one piece of advice that you would give to someone who is looking for their next step in their career?
Next step in their career, are we assuming that they've had one or they're just starting?
You know what? How would we do both? If they're starting their career or if they're a little bit deeper into it.
Okay. If you're just starting, I'm just gonna channel my inner 21-year-old self, just moved to Jackson, Tennessee. If we could recap. Yeah. Okay. Number one, you move to a new city or even a city that you grew up in, you're there. There's no
Hmm.
shame in that. You gotta start putting yourself in front of new groups of people, right? Go to those
Sure.
networking events, as cliche as they are, they matter. Also, one thing we were doing too that I didn't get a chance to say is back to that inclusion piece. People
Hmm.
love to be invited to things. Maybe it's not you going to things, maybe it's you hosting things,
Sure.
right? Like we had the band, we had the concerts, but then when we weren't in the band, there was a local restaurant in town that had Wednesday night wine deals and half off bottles of wine. And we took advantage of that. We were like, hey, we're all going here. And any new person we ran into that we thought, hey, this would be a great addition to the friend group, we invited them. It's like, hey, there's 10 of us going this wine night. Meet us here. Here's the details. Bring a friend, whatever. And it grew so much that the owner of the restaurant came out to us. They're like, man, like, I really appreciate you guys bringing all these customers here. Like,
Hmm.
here's a free bottle, like on us. Like, we didn't care about that, but you're helping other people feel included. You're helping local businesses. I don't know. It's just like this feels good to host things too. If you're not
Yeah.
finding the events that you want to attend, maybe take the ownership and create them yourself. So that's a big one I think we did and did well in a town we knew no one and knew nothing about. And it paid off in dividends in your work life and your social life and heck, even dating. Um, so yeah, it was really, really great. But if you're in a, further along in your career, maybe you don't care as much about the social life and you want to start climbing the ladder a little bit more. Um, yeah, I think you have to take a real honest look at your network. I'm like, are you meeting the people you should be meeting? Are you
Mm.
are you communicating to the people you work with what it is that you want to accomplish, right? Because everyone wants to see everyone do well. At least that's how I live my life. I know there's people out there who are grumps. Um, but it's like Nick, like if you were to come to me like, Dan, yeah, like I'm loving what I'm doing, but I really hope I can learn this. I mean, I would I would try and set you up to be like, hey, let's give Nick a chance here to do this on this next project of ours, right? He showed an interest, he wants to help. Let's throw him a bone. Let's see if we can't get him to that. And I think every manager, every leader, if they hear that, the good ones will
Hmm.
take action on that and invite you to the opportunity that you've presented to them, right? So
Hmm.
be vocal, be verbal about what it is next you want to accomplish in this role, and then be strategic with what you're saying because even if you plan on leaving that job, like get that experience
Mm.
on that new project that's gonna let you talk about it in the next interview, right? Like you got to
Hmm.
be thinking ahead of yourself. Um, and so yeah, I've done that all the time. I really rarely say no to things. I'm always saying yes to things that are just outside my comfort zone.
Mm.
Um, and so I think that has led to a lot of really good things happening to me. If you just take on some new stuff that maybe scares you a little, but
Yeah.
you're telling people you're throwing the bat signal out saying, "Hey, I want to learn, I want to improve, I want to advance. Give me a shot."
Yeah.
That's what I do.
Very good. Worst someone can say is no type of feeling.
Yeah, or you're not ready, and then you find something else, you know?
Sure.
It's yeah, it doesn't like I said, there's no room for egos here. You just gotta keep trying.
All
So
right. Well, Dan, thank you so much for joining me this evening.
thanks, man.
It's been awesome chatting with you. Thank you for everything that you've been sharing. Thank you for sharing your journey with us. It's been a great time talking with you.
You bet. Thank you for the invitation. And once again, if there's any help that I can help you with, let me know. You know where to find me.
There he is, back helping people. There we go. It's what it all comes back to. All right. Thank you so much, Dan. I really appreciate your time this evening.
Yeah, thanks, Nick. Appreciate it too, man.
Hmm.
Take care.
You as well. If you have any comments, questions, feedback, or suggestions for who I should talk to next, shoot me an email at nick@reroutedpod.com. The address and links to our website, Instagram, and LinkedIn can be found in the description below. Stay tuned for future releases every Wednesday. This is Nicholas Karamanian. I hope you enjoyed the show.